Hi everyone and welcome to Club Canine's Puppy School. I'm Tony. I'm the trainer that you'll be working with for the next 7 to 8 weeks. I like to do this video just to give you a little bit of an idea about what the classes will be like, and also to tell you a little bit about your puppy, some things that you may already know, some things that you may not know. So just to give you a brief overview of everything. To start, just to let you know, I'm a force-free trainer. So what that means is that I look at the science behind dog training and help you work with your dog to achieve results and to make your dog be the best it can be. I don't like to force dogs to do anything. So working with cooperative care, with things when you go to the vets and when you're handling your dog, to make sure that they're comfortable and not scared of anything or anything like that. So a few things that we'll go over first is dogs have a socialization period. That's really, really important, that they have positive interactions between the ages of 3 weeks and about 3 to 12 weeks, 3 to 16 weeks, kind of around that period. It's all about having positive socialization with your dog, getting them to experience new things in a positive way, and getting them to be comfortable in different situations with things like thunder, with things like fireworks, trains, bicycles, kids, motorbikes, loud bangs, loud noises, all of that sort of thing, getting them comfortable in those situations. Dogs also have a fear period, which there are two of them. One lasts between 8 to 10 weeks, and the other one is around 6 months old. So during those times, if the dogs experience anything that they are scared of, that they do get a big fright, and it's not dealt with properly or dealt with in a positive manner, then that can impact them for adulthood and can have a detriment to them when they grow up and bring out some behavioral issues that may not come out now but may come out later. So if there is anything with your dogs that you do think has happened to them during those fear periods, then let me know and we need to address those and see how we can work through that. So with the fear-free side, we're not pushing dogs into situations that they're not ready for, but we are teaching them to cope and prepare for real life and set them up for success. So during the classes, we will have some play sessions with the puppies. So maybe in the middle of the first session, I'll just have a look what the puppies are like, and we'll assess who we let off lead, who we don't, whether they're capable of being able to play. Some dogs in a class situation will be quite shy, quite shut down, and not really interested in playing, and that's okay. Some other dogs will be super boisterous and wanting to run up to other dogs and play with other dogs. So we just need to manage that on the night and make sure that the dogs are not being put into a situation where they're uncomfortable. So how do we know if a dog is uncomfortable? Dogs will have very, very good body language, and I will be going through a lot of that with you during the class so that I will teach you to learn to read dogs' body language and how they are communicating with each other, how they're communicating with you. So there are a number of things that you want to look out for. So the first one, so you want to look at their ears. That's a really telling part of a dog. So they might put their ears back a little bit. They might have them right down flat on their head if they're uncomfortable or unhappy about a situation. You want to look at things like their tail. So their tail being tucked between their legs. Obviously, they are very uncomfortable. if their tail is straight pointing up in the air, that is generally indicative of aggression, and they may be going to attack another dog. But we need to look at the other body language that they're showing off as well. So if a dog does have their tail up in the air, even if it's wagging, it can still indicate that they are very uncomfortable in that situation, and it could escalate to something a little bit more. Things that people don't know about is lip licking. So if your dog is licking their lips, it is generally saying that they are uncomfortable, they're anxious, and they don't like the situation that they're in. Yawning is another one. Now, if your dog is not halfway through a sleep or tired, and he's in the middle of play and then he stops and he starts yawning, that is also another sign that says that your dog is uncomfortable. If they're cowering down on the ground, that's a really big sign. That's really easy to see. There's another one called whale eye, when they look out of the corner of their eye and show the whites of their eyes. That's an anxious sign. What we do want to look for is a dog, if they meet another dog or they're in a new situation, a new place, that they're doing a really good shake off. So imagine your dog's just got wet and it's got out of the shower or out of, you've given it a bath and it shakes off. That's what we want to be looking for when they are in new situations and they're meeting new dogs. So ideally dogs will meet sideways, so they'll sniff each other and then like sniff each other's bums, and then they might look at each other in the face or whatever, but then they should do a really good shake off, and that's what we'll be looking for when the dogs are playing in the puppy school. We'll be looking for that. We will also be doing consent tests with the dogs, so that will mean that when two dogs are playing, we want to make sure that they are happy with each other. So if we think that one's being a little bit more boisterous than the other, we'll hold that dog back, and if the other dog still comes and wants to play, then we'll release that dog and go play, and let them go play. So consent tests are very important, especially with puppies, because you don't know, you want to make sure they're comfortable in those situations. So we'll be also doing a lot of interrupting play. So I would be asking you guys to call your dog away from play. So your dog might be having a really good time playing. I want you to call it off, give it a treat, and then send it back to play. So that just teaches the dog to come to you, and that coming to you is positive because it's some food, and then you're going to go let it go back and play. The other thing we want to look for in the play sessions is play styles. So there are good and bad things with play styles. So all dogs play different. You might have a dog that likes to pin another dog down, and that is okay as long as it's mutual and the other dog pins that dog. So they might run around, they'll pin each other backwards and forwards, and that's fine. You've got some dogs that will chase. They like to be chased, or they like to chase other dogs. So as long as the dog being chased likes to be chased, then we're good with that. If they don't like to be chased, that's when your consent tests come in. So if one dog is continuously chasing another, you would hold the dog that's chasing and make sure that that other dog comes back, checks in with the dog that's doing the chasing and says, I'm comfortable with that, and then you can let them go play. There is dogs will jump up on their hind legs and kind of jump at each other. That's okay as well. Again, there's lots of, and some dogs will change play styles based on who they're playing with, and some dogs won't. So you might get a dog that plays with a dog that's really good with chasing, so they'll chase each other, and then that dog will play with another dog who might be a pinner, and then they'll pin each other. But the chaser and the pinner can't play together because that will be uncomfortable for one of the dogs. But then you have the dogs that can switch in between play styles. So these are all things that I'll get you guys to watch for, because it's really important once your dogs start interacting with other dogs in dog parks, etc., that they are comfortable and that you can recognize those signs of when they're not comfortable. It's good to, even though your dogs are not fully vaccinated at the moment, you still need to be socializing them and introducing them to these things that are going to help them cope as adults. So if you have friends that have dogs and you know they're vaccinated and you know that they're healthy, you need to be introducing these dogs to each other and getting your puppy used to different size dogs, whether they're fluffy dogs or they're hairless dogs or whatever. As many dogs as you can get them around, you want to be doing that. Some good things that we want to start doing with our puppies to get them used to loud noises and thunder and lightning and that sort of thing is have YouTube have some great videos on like that have thunder and storms and stuff like that. So you want to be putting that on in the background, turning it down quite low so that the dog can just hear it, having the dog interact with you around those noises. And then as the days go by, you just want to turn it up a little bit more. And then you want to play with your dog again and get them used to those noises so that when over the course of maybe a month to 2 months you have got that up quite loud and they're playing with you and they're fine and they're happy around those sounds. So again, the thunder, fireworks, everything like that. We're in winter now, so we could start to get a bit of thunder, so you want to just watch for that. So equipment that we use, I just want you to make sure that you're bringing your dogs in on a standard collar. So I don't use any choke chains or any slip leads or anything like that. So just a standard collar and also just a standard lead. So none of the extendable leads that go back into the plastic reels. So just a standard lead. If you want to have a harness, that's fine also, although I do suggest that you train on a collar because you have more control over the dog's head and over what the dog is doing. And so when you're training, I suggest using collars. If you want to just go on a random walk, you're going on a walk to the beach or the park or whatever, and you're not doing any training at that point, harnesses are fine to walk them on. A lot of people or a lot of trainers as well will say that they don't think that dog should be on the bed, they don't think the dog should be on the couch, they don't think, that they have this alpha thing where they think that you have to be the alpha of the house or the alpha of the pack, that sort of thing. So I don't believe in that, and that has been misproven that the alpha dog is not a thing in a domestic situation. If you want your dog on the bed or you want your dog on the couch, that I don't have a problem with that. However, you need to give your dog permission to misbehave. So you need to allow them to come on the bed, letting them, so they should be sitting and waiting, and then you might say, okay, or whatever your command is to get them to come up onto the bed. Same with the couch. So that's just my belief. Like I said, a lot of trainers will say different, but as long as you're giving them permission to do something, then that's fine. We will be going over a lot of cooperative care stuff in the class, so going over nail clipping, good vet visits, what to do when you go to the vets, how to make your dog comfortable at the vets and that kind of thing. We will be going over your basic puppy problems, toilet training, biting, chewing, pulling on lead, reactivity, resource guarding, so a whole lot of stuff, recall. So we'll go over all of that because we want to catch all that really early, and a lot of the things that I'll be teaching you will be, you can use it for a lot of different things, not just for one thing. So some basics that I like to make sure that everybody does. I call them my rules, but really it's just the basics. So what I want you to do is avoid using their name in a negative way. Okay, so this is going to be the hardest thing you will have to do. So when it comes to them misbehaving or them doing anything, I don't want you to be using their name and telling them off with it. We want their name to be a positive thing that they only hear when they're doing something good, or they only hear, because with recall, what you don't want to do is start to poison their name by telling them off and yelling at them when they're chewing up something or something like that, because we want their recall to be solid. So when you are at a park and you are calling them back at a park and you're using their name, they're going to go, oh, I don't like that name, I'm not going to come back. So we need to keep that positive. So you can do a number of things. There is, you can say bad dog. So if you see your dog chewing something it shouldn't, you can say bad dog. Or I have more recently started training a second name for my dog. So I have a puppy at the moment. So I've started training a second name for her. So when she's doing something bad, I call her Orange. So I might say orange. So she knows that orange word means she is doing something wrong and she needs to stop doing what she's doing. If I called her name, then she would be, oh, I'm in trouble. So even though she knows she's in trouble with that other word, it's keeping her name positive and not poisoning that by using it negatively. So that's the most important thing and the hardest thing that you will have to do, because it's very hard not to yell at your dog when they're doing something bad. So another thing is repeating commands. So when we're doing the training, we want to, if we're asking a dog to sit, then we want to say sit, and we want to wait for them to sit. We don't want to be saying sit, sit, sit. We don't want to repeat ourselves, because if we're doing that, then we are making them think that whatever they're doing at that moment is a sit. So we keep saying it, so it must be right, because they haven't asked us to do anything else or got us to do anything else. When they're at a park and you're recalling them and you're saying come, and they're not coming to you, and then you keep saying come, they're just going to learn to ignore that word, because they think that come is what they're doing out there, and they're having fun. So we need to not repeat commands. The other thing is reprimanding them at the time for doing something bad. So if your dog is, I use rubbish as an example. If your dog chews up some rubbish and you catch them doing it at the time, so you walk into the room, their head's in the rubbish bin, you can say bad dog, and they'll look up, and then you can do what, you can remove them from the situation, pop them outside if that's what you want to do, but only leave them out there for a few seconds, because after a few seconds, they don't know what they've done wrong. What you don't want to do is if you come home and you walk in the door and you see rubbish all over the ground because your dog has ripped up the rubbish and they've had a great time doing it, and now they're asleep on the couch, and you walk in and you go, bad dog. They have no idea why you're telling them off, because they had a great time while they were ripping up that rubbish and they had the best time, and they're going to do that again. But when you come in and say bad dog, you are associating you coming home with telling them off, and that's not what we want. So if you walk into that situation, you have to ignore it, and you just go about your business, tidy up what they've done, and move on. The exception to that is the only thing that you cannot tell them off for while they're doing it is toileting. So if you see a dog toileting inside, when you're going through your puppy training and your toilet training, and they toilet inside, you cannot tell them off for that. If you tell them off for toileting, then you are telling them off for the action that they are doing, not the location that they are doing it in. So you need to ignore the toileting inside, and you need to reinforce and reward toileting outside. So when they're toileting outside, you make that a really big deal, and you're clapping and you're cheering and you're giving them treats, and you make it really exciting. And also make sure you put a name on it, whether you say toilet or you say go wheeze or you say, pee pee or whatever you want to say. You need to name it and you need to reward it when they're doing it outside all the time, and ignore it when they're doing it somewhere where it's inappropriate or you don't want them doing it. When we're going through training, we want to make sure that we are, if you're having an issue with your puppy, we don't focus on that problem. We focus on what we would rather them be doing instead. So instead of focusing on why is my dog, oh no, my dog keeps chewing, how do I stop him from chewing? How do I stop him jumping up and biting me and stuff like that? It's more about why is he doing it? What is he getting out of it? And what would we rather he be doing instead? So those are some things to think about if you're coming across problems. Those three things, and how do we, what alternative action can we give them to do instead of what they're currently doing. So one other thing we have is your puppies at the moment, try and, so dogs are not fully put together and fully grown until they're around 18 months of age. So I'm talking about bones and stuff here. So at the moment, your puppy's bones are generally just floating there. They're attached with ligaments and tendons and muscle and that sort of thing, but the bones are not actually together. So you need to avoid your dogs jumping off things. If you pick them up on the couch, they shouldn't be jumping off the couch. You need to put them on the floor. Don't let them use stairs. So at the facility at the moment, we have a lot of stairs. So when you come in, you need to carry your dog up the stairs. Don't let them run up the stairs. Don't let them run down the stairs. What that can do is jolt their joints, and they can have issues with it later. So we need to be avoiding them jumping at all costs until they are a lot older. General jumping around, having fun and playing is different because that's a natural movement. Going up and down stairs, jumping off couches or beds or whatever is not a natural movement. So, we want to avoid them doing that. We don't want them to be doing that. So, like I said in the email that you would have received already, the pre-course information, make sure that you bring along tug toys. It's really, really important. We might not use them every time, but every now and then, your dog might be doing something and I'm like, you need to break off, have a game of tug and play with it. So start playing with your dogs all the time with tugs and getting them interacting with you. The other thing you want to do is bring lots of treats. I know I said that in the email, but you want to find out what your dog likes. What do they consider to be a high value treat, and bring lots of it. You will be using lots of treats to begin with. We want to associate them coming to puppy school, them being with you, them training as positive, and we want to be reinforcing that, and we will be using food. Now, if your dog doesn't take food on the night, don't worry about it. Some puppies will be very anxious and very nervous about being there for the first time, and they might not take food. They might not listen to you, and don't get frustrated with it. It's fine. Your dog might all of a sudden start barking at the other dogs, and you're like, wow, he's never done that before. But that's okay. All different things will come out with them on the night, and they will settle in and get used to it coming into the class. So that's why the toys are also important. The tugs are also important, because they might, if they don't take treats, you can use play as a positive reinforcer or a reward as well. So make sure you bring both of those. You need to be hands-free. So you need to don't bring your food in a container or in a plastic bag or anything like that. You need to be able to be hands-free so that you can be rewarding your dog. So whether the food's in your pocket and it's easy to get, because you need to have the food easy to take out, or you have a bum bag or a treat pouch or something, but you need to get yourself something that so you can be hands-free. Otherwise, you have the lead in your hand and the treats, and it'll just be quite difficult for you. and your dog won't understand what you're asking of them. So something else I want you to do is I want you to think about your commands. Think about the words that you want to use when you're training, and I want you to write them down, and I want you to write down a list beside them of what it exactly means. So sit, for example, what does sit mean? So sit means their bum is on the ground, they're sitting straight, or if you don't mind how they're sitting, that doesn't matter. So down, what is down? Down is them lying on the ground, or is down, get down off the couch, get down off this, get down from jumping on me. So you need to make sure that you have one word for one action. So it's really good to write those down and to make sure that everyone that's training the dog knows what is expected and what words to use for what things, because dogs don't speak English, so you don't want to confuse your words and use the same word for like 3 different things. So those, if you could write those down and bring those into class, and I'll have a look at them and we can talk about those. And what else have we got? I think that's about it for the day. So I will see you all at your first puppy class, and I look forward to teaching you how to make your dog be the best dog it can be. And we're going to have lots of fun. But like I said, don't be too put off if your dog doesn't do anything on the night, or if he's too anxious, because you just need to learn yourself, and then you can train him at home, and he will get more relaxed once he has spent a couple of weeks there. Cool. Okay. So I will see you all at your first puppy class. Bye.